All right. Last time, we're now learning the Dvar Malchut, the words, the royal words of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who is the Moshiach. And the Rebbe is trying to tell us that Moshiach is here, that we just have to open up our eyes. And there are very clear signs. One of the accomplishments of Moshiach will be world peace, that the whole entire world will turn to the creator of the universe who's creating them. Every human being will worship only the God who's creating him, her. You won't have to go to a church or a mosque or whatever in order to find God, in order to pray to God. If you want to pray, wonderful. You can go to wherever you want to. You can pray. You can get together and pray, whatever you want. But the point is that every human being in the world will connect to his, her creator. And this, because God is creating everybody and he knows what he's doing. So God created everyone differently. Every person is different. Every fingerprint is different. Every personality is different. Everyone has different, unique qualities and abilities and nature. And when this is all used to serve God and everybody's aware of God, so people will be thankful about life. People will be positive. There won't be any more war. There won't be any more famines. There won't be any more diseases. There won't be any more jealousy and depression and aggression and addiction. There won't be any of these terrible things. The world will get along really good without these things. And we already had a glimpse of it. The door opened up to this when, in 1992, all of the nations in the world met in the United Nations, especially United America and Russia, and they decided together there will be no more talk of war, and little by little, they're going to start eliminating weapons of destruction and allocate all that money that they use for defense and offense and things like that. They'll use it for production and positive things, education, the healing, productivity, etc., to bring out the potential in every single human being. True, that idea, and it was implemented. It was implemented, and they began to do it. True, other things came in, other things side things, not to talk about what they are, but nevertheless, the whole thing fell down. But it occurred. It occurred. And the fact that it occurred, good things are eternal. The fact that it occurred means it opened up a door. We see that such a thing is possible. Something like God took the Jews out of Egypt, even though afterwards it didn't last that long. The Jews worshipped the golden calf, but we saw it's possible to go out of Egypt, and it's going to happen again. That's the first of the 10 commandments. I am God that took you out of Egypt. And the same thing with the temples. There were 2 holy temples. There was the tabernacle we'll learn about next week in the Torah. And true, they were destroyed, but that doesn't make any difference. The fact is that there was such a thing, and it opened up the door, there will be such a thing. And the same thing here, because they all met together and they decided on peace, there was such a thing, and it's a sign that there will be such a thing. Not only that, the Rebbe said something very interesting. What exactly happened over there? And we see that human beings have been using human intellect since the beginning of creation, right? According to Judaism, that was 5,782 years ago. According to science, it was 5 billion years ago, 5 trillion years ago. They don't agree with in themselves. 5 million years ago. It's like the joke they tell. I'll tell you the joke. It says that a man went into a museum of natural history, and there's a big dinosaur, right? They have a brontosaurus or something like that. That's when you come in, that's what you see it over there, a Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever it is. And the guy that's taking them around said, this brontosaurus, the skeleton of brontosaurus, this is exactly 105 billion years ago. 100 billion and 5 years ago. They said 100 billion and 5. Where'd you get the 5 for? He said, well, I started working there 5 years ago. Back then it was 100 billion years. So I've been working for 5 years. So it's 100 billion and 5 years. The same thing, according to science, man was created 5 billion years ago, whatever it is. From the time that man was created, right, from the Piltdown man and the Neanderthal man and this, there's been war. They find weapons of war. They find weapons of schmeicing each other and hacking each other. And they had rocks and bows and whatever they had, right? They found that, the arrowhead from the whatever it is, the Piltdown man, from this guy, Croatian man. They found that people have been making war non-stop. There's never been a time in the world when there was no war, except in the brief periods when somebody conquered the whole world, like Alexander the Great. So no, there were so many dead people. They were busy burying them. They didn't have time to make war. Okay, but there's never a time when there wasn't war or oppression in the world. Never. And this was all according to human intellect. Right? Human intellect, as praiseworthy as it is and wonderful, nevertheless, it can bring the worst possible tragedies to mankind. We just saw in the World War II, right? These intelligent nations all of a sudden stood up and used their intelligence to make weapons of incredible destruction. Okay. Here, all of a sudden, all these people got together and from their own logic, their own intellect, decided, let us make world peace. First time it ever happened in the world. The Rebbe said the reason that this happened was, we have to say, is because, and it happened in the town where the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe is, in Brooklyn, and it happened in the Torah portion in the month when the previous Rebbe passed away and the Rebbe took over ahead. The previous Rebbe and the Rebbe, they're the Moshiach of the generation. And it happened in the Torah portion, which is Mishpatim, which talks about logical understanding laws which really come from God. And the Rebbe said that shows that their intellect was influenced by God to do good. That's what it was supposed to do. And that's the whole thing of the Mashiach, that people will start to do what they're supposed to do, to be productive. Okay, did we do this here? I think we got up to here. Okay. I don't know if we did this. I don't think we did. Yeah, well, let's try it. Od V'Ikar, the main thing is, I think we're going to have to finish this tomorrow. Okay, Od V'Ikar, the main thing is that also Parshas Mishpatim also talks about the end of the exile and the beginning of the redemption. How so? The detailed laws which are in this week's Torah portion speak essentially about matters between man and man, damages, claims, the obligations. This is explained in the Torah Shebal Peh, in the Talmud, in what's called the order of Mishnah, which is called Nezikin, damages. Shekula Nezikin Chara Masechto. It says all of Nezikin is really one. There's Baba Kama, Baba Batzra, Baba Matzia, there's Sanhedrin, there's the laws of damages. It's really one big topic. Chelik Masechet Rishon, they just divided the first portion into three. Baba Kama, that's talking about damages like an ox or a pit, or we said a fire, and a person that damages someone. The Ein HaShofet Rashai L'Akadim Dvar Kodem Shiasir HaHezik Mibnei Adam. A judge has to, first of all, remove damages from people, things that damage, and therefore Hiktim Oso Brishona Shar Adinim. Therefore, the laws of damages come first of all in this Nezikin. They come damages. Afterwards, that's Baba Kama, damages. Afterwards, there's Baba Matzia. That's mostly talking about propriety, possession, claims, and things that you entrusted to someone, renting something out, the law of someone who borrows, someone who rents, etc. What are those laws? Like it says, and after the laws of damages, that comes the laws of how do you say of propriety, of ownership, of responsibility. Oh, right. If you entrust something to me, how great is my responsibility to watch over that thing? Do I have to risk my life to watch it? That's Baba Matzia. Afterwards, talks about Baba Batra. Baba Batra, that's talking about mostly about land and laws which are about dwellings, houses, how to divide up lots of land, etc. Okay, it's explained in the Zohar that these three sections of laws of damages, Nezikin, right? First of all, talk about real damages. Then after that, it talks about ownership and guardianship. And then finally talks about houses, that these are Chada Kamisa Ba'arba Avos Nezikin Ashur Taninan Talis Dashkachat. He says the first one of these three, Baba Kama, Baba Batra, Baba Matzia, Baba Batra, the first one, which is talking about an ox goring. The second one is talking about a garment, which is very common, ownership of things. The third one is talking about partnerships and things that are lost, and houses and things like that. This is talking about, they're mentioned in the order that they appear in the Torah. In this week's Torah portion, Al Davar Pesha says Al on any sort of a crime or accused crime. Al Ashur, an ox, a donkey. Al Aseh, this is Baba Kama. It's talking about your ox damaging. That in Baba Kama, Hachi who will be in Mila, it's talking about these things. Al Salma, when it talks about a garment, this is talking about more about ownership. This is Baba Matzia. I'll call Aveda and anything which is lost. This is the third, Baba Talita. This is the laws of property. That these three of damages they're talking about, they come from this sentence. Okay, let's explain. The whole, and now the Rebbe is going to show how this is relevant to the future redemption. This whole idea of damages, right? That's mostly what this Torah portion is talking about, damages. This hints at the whole entire time of exile. And it's divided up into three different types of exile, corresponding to the three general exiles that the Jewish people were in. They were exiled in Egypt. Then after that, they're exiled in Babylon. And now, presently, it's called the exile of Rome, it's called, of Edom. Three types of damages. When there is in the world things that are not supposed to be, or damages, beginning from the four, what's called basic types of damages, the Avot Nezikin. In Baba Kama, in the first chapter of this damages, Baba Kama, called the first door. Baba means door. Similarly, arguments between people. This says, I found the garment. This one says, that's Baba Matzia of exile. And then there's Baba Batra. What's that talking about? That's the last chapter of the exile. This is talking about partners that they want to separate themselves from their own free will. They're not being forced. Time at the Ratzah high, low Ratzah high, whatever this person wants, the other person doesn't want to. So they make a division. This talks about, and it also talks about making a big wall between them so that one person can't look with a jealous eye on the other one. That's the end of the exile. That's what it says. A person that wants to learn the laws of money, property in the Torah means, what should you do? Read the Torah. This is Gabrus. If it's the wisdom of the Torah is increased and strengthened in a way that it permeates everything in the world, namely monetary cases, damage cases, arguments between people, that by means of the Torah, because all these three things are found in the Torah, by means of this can be eliminated the possibility of damages and bad things. And there was all these types of damages, they're found in the Torah. When the Torah deals with them, it's possible to do away with the damages. Suspicion, jealousy, hatred, conflict, improper competition. That's the end of the exile. And then will we begin the true redemption and complete redemption, which that's going to be what's called the third redemption. Moses took us out of Egypt after the first temple was destroyed. Ezra and Nehemiah, they took us out of the second exile in Babylon, and Mashiach is going to take us out of this third one. That's going to be the third redemption. Which transforms all of the three exiles. Similarly, in the third temple, Mashulash, Shekholel, the third temple is going to be what we call triple. Why? Because it's going to include in it the three temples which were before. The tabernacle, which was in the desert, the first temple, and the second temple. This will transform the destruction to a tremendous building. That's the whole idea of being like the Creator to create. And we can add on that's the whole thing, which is, why are we talking about this? Because we're talking about this week's Torah portion, Mishpatim. Mishpatim is talking about damages. And the damages, they are explained in these three first tractates of the Talmud. Baba Kama, the first gate, Baba Metzia, the second gate, and Baba Batra. They're talking about different types of damages and arguments and conflicts between people. In this Baba Batra, which that's the third of the chapters of the tractates about exile and damages, and the last, there's also hinted at the future redemption. Not just an end to the bad, but a beginning of the good. Al Mashiach. How do you know? Because it says there's one whole topic over there, Sugya, which is known that it's explained many of the goals of the future. And one of them is Atid HaKodesh Baruch Hu. It says that in the future, God is going to make Su'uda, a big feast for the tzaddikim, for the righteous Jews. Mibasaro shel Leviathan, from the flesh of this big fish, which is called Leviathan. Atid HaKodesh Baruch Hu, God is going to make sukkah, a big, what do you call a tent for the tzaddikim, and this tent will be made from the skin of this Leviathan, of this big fish. And it says, V'samti kad kod shimshotayach. This is a prophecy from Yeshaya, from Isaiah. It says that there will be stones, precious stones, that there will be shining up this whole thing. Avanim shel Chomas Yerushalayim. There'll be stones in the walls of Jerusalem. One says it's what are these stones? One says that's one of the types of stones that's in the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, Shoham, and the other one says it's Yashveh. One of these two stones shines in itself, it glows itself, and the other one, it says it just reflects the glow from the world. Omer HaKodesh Baruch Hu, God said, La havi kadin kadin. It'll be like both stones. What does it mean? That the light will come from within the Jews, and it'll also come from outside. Atira Kodesh Baruch Hu says that God will elevate Jerusalem, Shlosh Gimel Parsaot, 3 miles, whatever, above. Spiritual. Like it says, Varama V'yashva Tachtea. It says it will be elevated, and everyone will do it. That's in the prophecy of Zechariah. Like it says, will be elevated, and everyone will dwell in it. V'shama Shema Tomar, maybe you can say that it'll be difficult to elevate Jerusalem. Everybody will Talmud Omer, Mi Ele Ka'av Te'ufena Okayonim. Who are these? Like a clouds, they will fly up, and like doves on their wings, and God will elevate everything. This is all in this last of the 3 tractates that talk about damages. So not only is it talking about Baba Batra, the end of damages, but it's talking about the beginning of the future redemption. What these things mean, we're going to see when it actually happens. But nevertheless, something really good is going to happen. The whole entire sugya talking about how the Eretz Yisrael will be divided in the future. So all of this is talking about the end of Baba Batra, which is the tractates which deal with damages. So it'll be the end of damages and the beginning of all these wonderful buildings that we're going to have. Al-Piyam or La'il, according to what we said before, now we can even strengthen more Hapliya, the wonder and the amazement, together with the great pain and shock, that we can't even estimate how great and I say how shocking and to the essence of our being is the fact that, right, all these good things happened. They all met for peace. The world is ready for peace. It was in the month that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away and that this Rebbe took over. A month of peace, a month of harmony, of blessing. It's in the Parsha of Mishpatim, which talks about logical laws which are done according to the way God wants. And all these people that met in the United Nations, they were using their own logic to do what God wants. If so, after all these wonderful ideas and these things that I just said, how the redemption is here and everything, how can it possibly be that the Jews are still in exile? It's just totally not understandable. Ad matai, how long will it be? Hayatachen, can it possibly be that after all of these signs, that the redemption is here, the complete and true redemption immediately, until that what happened just this Erev Shabbos, that the nations, the Gentiles of the world that up to now have been devoted to making war and being suspicious one another, suddenly they decided from their own free will that this is reached the time that they should pound all of their weapons of war into weapons of construction. And we're now found, the Rebbe was saying this on Shabbos, right? This was all this that's being said now was written down by memory from the Hasidim that heard it and remembered everything. They would go over and write it all down, and they would bring it into the Rebbe and show him, and he would okay it. That we're now found in this Shabbos, and we're outside of Israel, in a place where we are found with all the Jewish people in the end of the globe. There's also Jews that are in Israel. I'm sorry, that's right. That how can it be that now we are found after they announced all these wonderful things and they all decided for unity and peace? How could it be that we're now found outside of the land of the Holy Land? Instead of b'makom, instead of being found together with all the Jewish people from the end of the world to the other end in the Holy Land, in Jerusalem, the holy city, in the holy temple. That's where we're supposed to be. And we should be sitting at this table which is prepared, and eating from the meal of Leviathan. And there's another, also, these are Kabbalistic ideas, but it's really going to happen. Of this fish, Leviathan, and the Shura boar, which is called the pure ox, or the wild ox, Shura bar. And the wine of Meshumer, it says that there's wine which is God has preserved from the beginning of creation. Why aren't we eating these things? Why aren't we all in Jerusalem? How can we be outside of Israel? How can there still be exile? Even more, we have not yet received the commandment to build the third temple. How is the third temple going to be? It says that God will bring the third temple from heaven. There's different opinions, but the one that's accepted by in Kabbalah and also by the Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov, all the Hasidim, is that the third temple is going to come from heaven. But what are we going to do? We're going to bring the gates up. It says the gates are buried. We're going to bring those gates up. Anyway, from Yud, Mizan, moving from now, we can understand the great necessity to add with more power and with more energy and everything that will make the future and hurry up the future redemption. Bring it actually in the world. Don't give up. The call is we're 1 inch from the finish line. Don't give up. And the call is Binyan Amudash, especially in this Torah portion, which is called Mishpatim. Let me just see how much we have to go. Yeah, we'll have to finish this tomorrow, God willing. We'll have to finish this tomorrow. So therefore, we have to do everything that we possibly can and to hurry up. First of all, what do we have to do? Mishpatim. We have to learn Torah. And we have to use the Torah to make peace between man and his friend in a peaceful way. As long as there's going to be different people, there's going to be different opinions, and there's going to be potential for contention and arguments. Okay, arguments is not bad. Contention is not a good thing. People have different opinions. Talk it over. For sure, not only do we have to, make peace, for sure we have to avoid anything opposite. We have to and try to negate the reason for this exile that we're in, which is called sinat chinam, hating someone unjustly, hating someone more than is necessary, right? You can hate what a person does, you can hate what a person says, but you can't hate the person. So don't go too far with this hatred business. And beside the fact that it's not a good thing, it's a negative thing, and it's the opposite of what's good, and we should be concentrating on what's good instead of what's bad, but at least don't do the bad. That by means of this, if we negate, and that's the whole reason for the destruction of the second temple, is because of this hatred. By means of this will come the redemption. That's called mishpat. By means of using the Torah to bring harmony between different opinions, that's the whole idea of judgment. It says that through judgment, Tzion b'mishpat teparet, says that Tzion, the Jewish people, Jerusalem, the Holy Temple, it says will be redeemed through justice, through the Torah, and also tzedakah, will be revealed. This is a pasuk where in Isaiah, right? Tzion b'mishpat teparet, it's the Haftorah, which is right before Tisha B'Av. And Gemilat Chasadim, to do acts of kindness, like it's explained. In Kesef Talveat Ami, in this week's Torah portion, loan money to people, don't expect them to pay you back. You see a person that's poor, give them a loan. Tell them, pay me back whenever you can. If you don't pay me back, I won't be angry. No, whenever you can do it, don't worry about it. Take it easy. One day you'll be rich. Say nice words to the person. Gedola Gemilat Chasadim, that charity is greater than that. I'm sorry, that giving acts of kindness is better than charity. It says that charity is only for poor people, and acts of kindness you can also do to a rich person. Like it's explained in Baba Batra, which explains the whole idea of the laws which are found in this Torah portion, it explains with Torah Shabbat, Balpeh, explanation on the laws which are found in the Torah Shebechtav and the written in our Torah portion. This is over there it's explained all the details about charity. The main thing is great is giving charity or doing good deeds because it makes closer the future redemption. And again, the future redemption is very simply that all of the good hidden inside of every human being in the world comes out. All the potential for building, for love, for harmony, and for productivity, for health, for life, it all comes out of every human being. Like it says, Kol Amar Hashem, Shomer Mishpat V'Osa Tzedakah, Tikrova Yeshua Ti Lavo. It says, this is what God says. 100, where is this? Another pasuk from Isaiah. A pasuk from Isaiah. And that's what it says. It says, do righteousness and do charity, because my salvation will come. It says that all the time the Jewish people are in exile, that God is suffering. He's in exile with them. When we do charity, then the charity of God will be revealed to us. Tremendous, infinite kindness. As we're going to explain this more, God willing, tomorrow, Friday, we're also going to have a class at 8:15. Please come. Now we're going to do the Yom Yom. Today, by the way, we'll learn the Haftorah of this week's Torah portion, also from Isaiah. Sort of shocking, but you'll see. Learning a parsha of Chumash with Rashi. This is the Yom Yom. These are sayings of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, which were gathered and organized by the present Lubavitcher Rebbe. And studying a portion of Chumash with Rashi every day, saying Tehillim every day, and saying the entire Tehillim on this Shabbos. This Shabbos, by the way, is going to be Shabbat before. You can try to say the whole Tehillim as you can. If you're careful with all these things, then you should know it's very, very important to you. It'll benefit you, your children, and your children's children. And we can add on also saying the Tanya, Chitat, Chumash with Rashi, Tanya, and Tehillim. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, God willing, 3 o'clock today, we'll continue our learning. We'll learn the Haftorah of this week's Torah portion.